Congratulations. You have officially become the bank's favorite little charity case. You think you are being smart? You think you are being safe? You think that little digital number in your Chase or Bank of America app is a shield against the world? It is not. It is a tombstone for your purchasing power. Look at you. You walk into that shiny glass building with your hard-earned paycheck. You hand it over to a guy in a cheap suit who smiles at you like a predator, and you walk out feeling secure. You are a damn fool. Hey, Joe, look at me. I just locked in a 5% interest rate on a 12-month CD. I am basically an investor now. That is what my neighbor Dave said to me yesterday. Dave is a classic NPC. He wears the khakis. He drinks the mediocre coffee. And he follows every rule the system ever told him. I looked at Dave. I looked at his stupid, happy face, and I wanted to scream. I said, Dave, you moron. You just gave the bank $10,000. They are going to give you $500 back in a year. Meanwhile, the price of the truck you want just went up. The price went up by $8,000. Your rent went up by $200 a month. The steak you like to grill on Sundays is twice as expensive as it was last year. You didn't gain $500, Dave. You lost the ability to buy $3,000 worth of actual stuff. You just paid the bank to rob you, and you thanked them for it. Dave just blinked at me. His brain could not process it because the TV told him savings are good. His daddy told him savings are good. The government told him savings are good. Of course they did. They need your exit liquidity. They need your cheap capital so they can loan it back to people. They loan it back to people who actually know how to use it for 20% interest. You are the battery in their matrix and you are running out of juice. Every single second that your money sits in a standard savings account, it is evaporating. It is like trying to hold a handful of sand in a windstorm. You are working 40, 50, 60 hours a week for a currency that is being printed into oblivion by a bunch of bureaucrats who do not even know your name. You are trading your finite, irreplaceable human life for paper scraps that lose value while you sleep. If that does not make you want to punch a hole through your monitor, you are already dead inside. But if you have even a spark of self-respect left, listen close, because I am about to show you exactly how deep this grave really goes. Stop being a victim. Stop being Dave. Wake the hell up. Let us perform a little autopsy, not on a cold body in a morgue, but on your bank statement, which is honestly just as dead. They call it inflation, but that is a sanitized corporate word for a much uglier reality. It is an invisible parasite. It is a slow-motion robbery. It is the government and the central banks reaching into your pocket every single night and shaving off a piece of your life. The government tells you inflation is at 3 or 4%. They put out these fancy CPI reports with their colored charts and their hand-picked baskets of goods. They tell you, oh, do not worry, prices are stable. They are lying through their teeth. They do not include the stuff you actually need to survive, like housing, energy, or real food. They swap out steak for ground beef in their calculations and call it substitution. It is a shell game, and you are the mark. I want you to dig through your junk drawer right now. Find a receipt from 10 years ago, back in 2016. Go ahead, I will wait. Look at the price of a gallon of milk. Look at the price of a dozen eggs. Look at what you paid for a tank of gas. In 2016, a $100 bill was a weapon. You could walk into a grocery store and come out with bags of food that actually filled your trunk. Today, in 2026, $100 feels like a 20. You walk in for milk, bread, and some laundry detergent, and suddenly the cashier is asking for $85. You look at the bag, then you look at your wallet, and you wonder where the hell the money went. It did not go anywhere. It stayed right there in your hand. The paper is the same. The ink is the same. but the value has been bled out of it. It is like a car that still looks shiny on the outside, but the engine has been replaced with a lawnmower motor. It looks the same, but it cannot do the work anymore. And while your money is losing its power, the bank is sitting there grinning. Why? Because they are using your safe savings to buy real stuff. They take your $10,000 and they turn around and loan it to a developer at 8% to build an apartment complex. 10 years from now, that apartment complex will be worth double. The rent will have tripled. The bank owns the asset. You still have your $10,000, but now that $10,000 cannot even buy the kitchen cabinets in one of those apartments. You are being lured into a trap of nominal numbers. But Joe, I have more money than I did last year. No, you do not. You have more units of a collapsing currency. If you have $1 million but a loaf of bread costs $10,000, you are still a peasant. The trap is designed to keep you running on the hamster wheel, working harder and longer just to stay in the same place. You are running a race against a printing press that never sleeps, and spoiler alert, you are losing. Every time the FED clicks a button and creates $1 billion out of thin air, they are diluting your sweat, your overtime hours, and your future. They are literally stealing your time. And the worst part? You are letting them do it because you are too scared to step off the safe path. All right, shut up and pay attention. It is time for some cold, hard math. Put down your overpriced latte, sit your butt down, and look at the screen. I have got an Excel sheet pulled up here that is going to make some of you want to cry. Before we dive into the bloodbath, I want you to do exactly what I say. Stop the video right now. I am serious. Pause it. Pull out your phone, open your calculator app, or grab a piece of paper. I want you to write down the exact amount you have in your safe savings account right now. Got it? Good. Now, I want you to look up the price of a median home in your city back in 2019 versus right now in 2026. Do the math. Divide your savings by that house price. That percentage you see, that is your actual wealth. And I bet it is shrinking faster than a cheap wool sweater in a hot dryer. Let us look at the numbers. Let us say you are a good boy or a good girl. You worked hard, you slaved away, and you managed to stack $100,000 in a high-yield savings account. You are feeling like a boss, right? You are getting 5% interest. That is $5,000 a year just for sitting there. Woohoo! Free money. Wrong. While you are celebrating your $5,000 in interest, the Federal Reserve and the Treasury are back there in the kitchen, cooking the books. You need to understand a metric called M2 money supply. That is the total amount of currency floating around the system. Over the last decade, M2 has been growing at an average of 10 to 15% per year. Why does that matter? Because if the total amount of money in the world increases by 15%, but your stack only increases by 5%, you did not get richer. You got 10% poorer in relative terms. You are losing the race against the printing press. Let us run the simulation. Scenario A, the bank slave. You keep that $100,000 in the bank for 10 years at 5%. After 10 years, you have roughly $162,000. You feel like a genius. Look at me. I made 62 grand. But wait. If the real cost of living has been inflating at just 10%, that $162,000 in the year 2036 will have the purchasing power of only $62,000 in today's money. You did not gain $62,000. You lost 38% of your life's work. You spent 10 years working for free. Congratulations, you are a modern-day sharecropper. Scenario B, the asset owner. Now let us look at the risk taker. This person takes that same $100,000 and buys a hard asset. Let us say a rental property or a diversified basket of scarce assets like Bitcoin or gold. History shows us that these assets do not just go up. They stay still while the currency falls around them. If the currency devalues by 10% a year, the price of that house or that Bitcoin will likely rise. After 10 years, that $100,000 asset is now priced at $259,000. Plus, if it is a rental property, it has been spitting out cash flow that also increases with inflation. In 2036, the asset owner still has the same value, plus profit. The bank slave has a pile of paper that cannot even buy a used Honda Civic. The gap between these two people is not just a few dollars. It is the difference between retiring at 50 and working at Walmart until you are 85. The math does not lie, but your banker does. Your banker wants you to look at the nominal number, the number on the screen. I want you to look at the real value, the sucking power of your dollar. If you do not believe me, let us look at the Big Mac Index or the gold to S&P ratio. Since 1971, when Nixon ripped the soul out of the dollar by ending the gold standard, the dollar has lost over 98% of its value. If you held savings since 1971, you were decimated. If you held assets, you became the elite. Stop thinking in dollars. Dollars are a failing measurement tool. It is like trying to build a house with a ruler that gets shorter every time you use it. You will how many if the you want to see who is really laughing at your safe little savings account? Let us take a trip to the top floor. I want you to imagine a guy named Montgomery. Montgomery is a fat banker. He is sitting in a mahogany chair that costs more than your car, puffing on a $50 cigar and looking out of a floor-to-ceiling window at the city below. To him, you are not a human being with dreams and a family. You are a liability. Specifically, your savings account is a liability on his balance sheet. He owes you that money, and he hates owing anyone anything. So, he has a system to make sure that while he owes you, he is getting 10 times richer off your back. "Hey, Montgomery," I shout as I kick open his door. Tell these people what you do with their $10,000 the second they walk out of the branch. Montgomery just chuckles. A deep, oily sound. Joe, why would I tell them? They love the little blue book. They love the peace of mind. Why ruin the magic? He leans back and blows a cloud of smoke. The second that 10,000 hits the vault, it is gone. I do not keep it there. I am not a museum. I only keep maybe 1,000 of it, if even that. The other 9,000? I lend it out immediately. I lend it to a guy buying a house at 7%. I lend it to a small business owner at 12%. I lend it to some kid with a credit card at 24%. But wait, I say, looking at the camera, it gets worse. Tell them about the multiplier, Monty. Ah, the multiplier, he says, grinning like a shark. Through the beauty of fractional reserve banking, that original $10,000 can be turned into nearly $100,000 of new debt in the system. I lend it to person A, they spend it at a store, the store deposits it in Bank B, Bank B lends 90% of that to person C, and on and on. We create money out of thin air based on your deposit. We collect interest on money that does not even exist. And what do we give you in return? A plastic pen and a 0.05% interest rate. It is the greatest heist in human history, Joe. And the best part is, it is completely legal. Montgomery is right. That is the villain you are dealing with. The bank is not a storage unit for your wealth. It is a debt factory. They are using your labor, the hours you spent away from your kids, the stress that is turning your hair gray as the reserve, to create massive amounts of credit that they control. When you leave your money in the bank, you are providing the raw material for the very system, the system that is inflating away your cost of living. You are handing the hunter the bullets he is going to use to shoot you. They take your safe money, use it to buy up the real estate you can no longer afford, and then they charge you rent to live in it. It is a closed-loop system designed to extract every bit of value from the working class and funnel it to the people who understand how the game is played. Montgomery does not have a savings account. He has a portfolio of assets that are shorting the dollar. He wants the dollar to fall because he owns the stuff that the dollar buys. You are playing a game where the dealer is stacking the deck, the referee is on the dealer's payroll, and you are the only one at the table playing with real money while everyone else is using house chips. If you do not get your money out of their system and into assets you control, you are not just losing, you are being harvested. So, you have seen the math, you have met Montgomery, you have realized that your bank account is essentially a slow-motion shredder for your life's work. Now you have two choices. You can close this video, go back to your boring life, and keep saving until you are 80 years old and cannot afford a decent nursing home. Or you can grow a spine and start moving your capital into things that the government cannot print out of thin air. I am not a financial advisor. I am just a guy in a wheelchair who is tired of watching people like you get slaughtered by a system you do not understand. If you want to survive the next decade, you need to divorce your bank. Keep enough in there to pay your bills and buy your groceries and move the rest into hard assets. First, let us talk about gold. It is the boomer asset, but guess what? It has been money for 5,000 years for a reason. You cannot click a button and make more gold. It is heavy, it is shiny, and central banks are buying it in record amounts right now. Do you think they know something you do not? They are dumping dollars and buying gold while telling you to keep your dollars in their vaults. Wake up and copy the insiders. Wake up and copy the insiders. Second, Bitcoin. It is the digital middle finger to the Federal Reserve. It is a decentralized ledger with a hard cap of 21 million units. No politician can inflate it. No bank can freeze it if you hold your own keys. It is the fastest growing asset class in history because it is the antithesis of the garbage currency you are currently holding. If you do not own at least a little bit, you are essentially betting that the government will suddenly start being responsible with money. How has that bet worked out for you so far? Third, real estate. I do not mean a home with a 30-year mortgage that owns you. I mean cash-flowing property or even just raw land. They are not making any more land. A plot of dirt in a growing area does not care about the Fed's interest rate hikes. It is a physical piece of the earth that people will always need. Step 1. Open a brokerage account or a cold storage wallet. Step 2. Set up an automatic transfer. Every time you get paid, a chunk goes straight into assets before you have a chance to spend it on stupid stuff or let it sit in the bank's reserve. Treat your savings account like a hot potato. You do not want to be the one holding it when the music stops. I know what some of you are thinking, but Joe, what if the market crashes? Listen to me closely. The market crashes once every decade. The dollar crashes every single day. One is a temporary dip, the other is a permanent death spiral. Choose your poison. I would rather own a piece of a great company or a bar of gold during a crash than a pile of paper that is guaranteed to be worth less tomorrow than it is today. That is it. I am done talking. I have given you the map, I have shown you the traps, and I have pointed out the exits. If you still want to be a Dave and brag about your 5% interest while the world burns around you, then go right ahead. The world needs people like you to keep the lights on for the rest of us. But do not you dare complain when you are 65 and realize your $1 million retirement fund only buys a week's worth of groceries. Get out of the bank, get into assets, and stop being a victim. Or do not. I do not care. My bags are packed. Are yours?